I, 23M, was talking to this girl, 23F, for a week on Tinder and Instagram. She was gorgeous and she seemed very fun and outgoing, but she did have an investment girl boss vibe to her, and that's okay, but I should have seen it coming. I asked her for a coffee date and she says yes. We meet up and she looks good but not exactly like her photos. No problem there, let's see if we connect, I thought. The first 10 minutes goes great, conversation is flowing and I ask her if she wants some coffee. After all, we're at a coffee shop on a coffee date. She says no, because she had some earlier. First red flag. I mean, who goes on a coffee date but drinks some just before the actual date? Tells me to go and get one for myself if I want. Alright, no problem. I go and get my coffee, and when I come back, there's another girl at our table. She says, "Hey, this is my partner, we'll call her B. I was working with her earlier." That's when it hit me that this wasn't a date, lol. B starts asking me questions about my job, my studies, and asks me if I would listen to their business plan so that I could make more money each month. Lol. So she takes out a notepad and starts explaining me their business model and how much money I would make if I would find 3 other persons who would find 3 other people themselves, etc. I straight up tell her, so this is like a pyramid scheme, right? This ain't no date? To which A responds, "Oh, it is a date, but you seemed like a cool person to become our partner." Now what? And this isn't a pyramid scheme, it's multi-level marketing, MLM. Okay, so exactly the same thing. I couldn't believe that this was happening to me. Oh boy, so I sat there for a legit 15 more minutes and listened to them explain to me how I could make up to 5K a month if I were to get 100 people to join this business. I told them I had to leave to go to the vet with my dog. They didn't seem happy that I wasn't interested in their MLM. Lol. I laughed so much on the way home that I was crying. TLDR. Went on a coffee date with a gorgeous girl from Tinder, and when I went to get my coffee she texted her business partner to come and pitch me their pyramid scheme business model for 30 minutes. Edit 1. Thank you so much for the awards, upvotes and comments. I did report A's profile on Tinder as spam as soon as I got home. The product they were trying to sell were some vitamins, proteins, omega-3 tablets and some very good collagen. Lol. I was at a party 2 weeks ago, where I only knew 2 people. When in walks this guy who immediately gave me this really big smile and I thought he was so gorgeous. We ended up talking in the same circle and he introduces himself. We start chatting and quickly find the circle around us has disappeared and it is just us. He is so smart, his smile is outrageously cute, and I love how he seems laser focused on me instead of one of the many attractive women that have now joined the party and are talking about their cool Rhea dates. As the night wore on, I found myself talking to various different groups, but each time this guy would appear again and we'd end up just talking to each other again. Someone who neither of us knew came up and said we made an attractive couple, and I realized somehow in the span of 2 hours we were already acting like a couple. It wasn't just being sexually attracted to him, I felt so comfortable around him and he was so attentive to my needs. I told him offhand I had allergies to the dog at the party. Hours later when I started sneezing he immediately knew why and moved us outside. His smile was the thing that immediately caught my attention, but it was the thoughtfulness that made it so. At the end of the night, we catch an Uber home together and end up kissing. Before the Uber drops him off I give him my number. Sunday comes, don't hear from him. Okay, I get it, we both got home at 4 a.m. and I too just want to sleep the day away. Monday comes. Silence. Tuesday, even more silence. I know I've read how it is uncool to text a girl immediately because you want to seem super cool and wanted, but we're both in our mid-30s and, I hoped, realize these mind games are bullshit. If you like someone, text them when you can. Life is too short to be with people half interested in you. Wednesday comes and I'm a mixture of angry and over it and insecure all at the same time. How dare he leave me on like this? Well, I guess I'm glad I only wasted one night on this asshole. Was I not pretty enough? All these thoughts raced through my head and coalesced into me typing his name and workplace into Google to see if I can find him. Turns out, he was incredibly easy to find. I was planning on just looking at him because I missed his face, but I accidentally clicked the link that brought me to his LinkedIn page. Yikes. Now he'll know that I stalked him, which made me feel even worse. Greater than less than I probably look crazy. Welp, Since I was already on his page, I guess I'd look at where he had worked. Maybe he wasn't really interesting and I'd feel better about him ghosting me. Nope, turns out he is not only very smart but also humble, because his resume listed a dozen different cool jobs, impressive schools he's attended, things he's worked on. Great, I probably wasn't impressive enough for him. Not 30 minutes later he friends me on LinkedIn, but seems surprised that I was reaching out. He had evidently texted me that night, and again the next day, only to not hear anything back. I had ghosted him. And this is how we found out my fuck up. When I gave him my number, turns out I was off by a digit. Turns out, Tipsy me isn't so great at typing or proofreading. If I hadn't been a creepy LinkedIn stalker, it could have been months, if ever, before we would have seen each other again. Right now we're laughing about it and setting up our first real date. Wish me luck, Reddit. TL, doctor thought a cute guy was ghosting me. Turns out, I gave him the wrong number. Fixed my fuck up by using my cyber stalking skills, and now we're going on a date. This happened yesterday. I, 31F, was in a grocery store parking lot after doing some shopping and started putting my bags away into my car. I had one earphone in and was really focused on the conversation happening on one of my favorite podcasts. As I was finishing up, I noticed some guy on a bicycle heading in my direction. He looked up at me and said, "Nice breasts," as he rode past me smiling. I was really caught off guard by this, so I yelled back, "You are disgusting, perv." He glanced back at me with a really confused look and mumbled something like, "What the hell?" I realized about 3 seconds later that what he actually said was, "Nice dress." I was wearing a long, colorful maxi dress that really stood out. I immediately felt like an idiot and I still cringe just thinking about it. Oops. I, 30F, went on a date with a guy, 31M, who I met a few days ago. I thought he was cute and he told me how sweet and pretty I was and that he wanted to take me on a date. We went out for tacos and margaritas at one of my favorite taco spots. Throughout the date it felt pretty one-sided as far as I was trying to make conversation and all he wanted to do was get out of the taco place and walk around so we could hold hands. I quickly started to realize our communication styles were completely different and I was not feeling any kind of spark. We got done with tacos and I suggested we go to a spot with board and card games instead of just walking around. He insisted on walking around and holding my hand, putting his arm around me and constantly touching my face until I finally had to demand he stop touching my face. I couldn't wait for the date to be over with. I was relieved after he finally dropped me back off at my car. Today he asked to go to the cinema for our next date and I told him that I was grateful for the tacos and his time, but wasn't feeling it and it would be best to just be friends. He responded with, "I don't buy food and drink for my friends, you drink 2 drinks and food, I need $30 back." I don't even know how to respond to that. I'm feeling like I guess I should have just ghosted him. TL doctor, I went on a date which was a total dud and he thinks I owe him $30 since I don't want to continue dating him. Update. I haven't responded and now he is calling me a scammer and that he knows another guy from the bar I work at that I pulled the same scam on. This is funny to me because this guy is the only person I've gone on a date with that I've met while bartending and he has only lived here for 10 months. He is threatening to talk to my employer about this scam I am running. This is also amusing as my boss and I are very close and he is the owner of the bar. I've kept the owner in the loop about everything from the start, before even going into the date, and he thinks it would be hilarious if this guy came to talk to him about my so-called scam. Update 2. He hasn't messaged again nor did he come into my workplace tonight. My boss was a little disappointed he didn't get to have a fun little chat with the guy. I'm relieved as I feel like he's probably dropped it and moved on, at least I really hope so. If anything progresses I'll post it, but hopefully we're just done with this ridiculousness. P.S. Thank you to all the supportive words and advice from different viewpoints. I had no idea this was going to blow up like it did, like wow, what a wild learning experience. This happened yesterday evening preparing dinner at home. Taco Tuesday is a celebrated holiday in our home. This year we bought a variety of pepper plant starts from a local Amish farm intending to try some new flavors. I went to the garden and plucked a smaller jalapeno and one bright red pepper I had not yet identified. Now I knew this mystery pepper was at least as hot as a jalapeno because of the smell when I cut the top off. I decided to go easy and only dice 2 thin slices of the pepper. So when my oiled pan has heated up enough, I tossed in the cut onions and peppers and began to swirl the pan to heat them together as usual. Suddenly I was aware of an extremely dry cough forming in my throat, and I turned away from the stove and cupped my hands over my mouth and nose out of instinct. The dry cough wouldn't let up though, and I was becoming more and more aware that the pores on and around my nose and mouth were burning. I stepped outside the kitchen and heard my girlfriend coughing the same way I was in her office, which is located on the other side of our house. I realized I had basically made pepper spray and fumigated the whole house with it in only a few minutes. I rushed her, our daughter, and both dogs outside. With tears streaming down my glowing red face, nose running, just looking a complete mess, I stumbled back out to the garden to look for a name tag on the red menace I had unleashed on our home. Caribbean Red Hot. ChiliPlant.com web link. 300,000 to 450,000 Scoville heat units. For comparison, jalapenos rank between 2,500 to 8,000. I spent the next hour with a milk-soaked rag on my face until the burning stopped. At least I never touched my eyes. TLDR, cooked a random pepper I got from Amish folk, fumigated my whole house and family with fresh-made potent pepper spray. I, 26M, have cystic fibrosis and had to get a double lung transplant last year. Because of the long recovery and COVID, I haven't been able to work in a long time. I used to work at a grocery store and decided to ask for my job back part-time. Working there was my only hope because it is flexible and in walking distance. I can't drive anymore because of seizures. I've only had a few though and take meds to control them. I walked over to the store looking my best and ready to talk to my old manager. Everything felt so surreal and bright. I figured that I was just getting nervous and emotional about being there after so long. Right away near the front of the store I saw an old co-worker and she recognized me. She asked me how I've been and I tried to answer but my brain started shutting down. For some reason I touched her chest, WTF is wrong with me, then grabbed her arm and fell backwards. I hit my head on the concrete floor and started seizing really badly. Everyone in the whole store surrounded me, many that I knew, and they called 112. My head was bleeding, I was puking and choking on it and worst of all, lost control of my bladder. I was wearing these tan khaki pants so it was very noticeable. The piss got all the way down into my shoes. When I finally came to, the paramedics were cutting off my shirt in the middle of this store. My chest is extremely fucked up with scars and I have a J-tube. Everyone looked at me like an alien. I was so embarrassed and trying hard not to break down. They were trying to ask me questions but I pretty much played dead until I got in the ambulance. There went my one potential job. I'll never go back there again. I'm alright now, just feeling defeated and mortified. The only thing helping me has been reading other posts like mine, knowing I'm not the only one. That's why I decided to share this. TLDR, had a seizure and pissed myself in front of my old co-workers when I went to ask for my job back and now I'm going to be unemployed forever.